After the first parade of the 21st century and the retirements of Manfred Bass and Gene McFadden, Macy's and their parade studio were getting ready for the Diamond Year. The 75th Macy's Parade was just around the corner. Things started to go well in production on what the new floats were going to be, a new record of the most new giant helium balloon characters with a total of 5, what musical numbers are on Broadway right now are coming, what artists could be available to perform, you name it. And it was also the first year to have a new leadership for the event, succeeding Gene McFadden as parade executive producer Robin Hall. He would hold the position until 2010, and succeeding Manfred Bass as head designer for Macy's Parade Studio, John Piper, who has been working at the Parade Studio for a couple of years and would take the position as the chief until 2019. Things were going well for the production throughout the beginning of the year up till the end of summer. Then came one event that not only shocked the entire world, it would be a moment that no one will ever forget. September 11th, 2001, the day when America was under attack. 4 aircraft planes were hijacked by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, to take down many lives in the United States of America. American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175 crashes into the north and south tower of the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan, New York. American Airlines Flight 77 crashes into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, right across Washington, D.C. And United Airlines Flight 93, that it was either targeted towards the White House or the U.S. Capitol building, crashes into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, when the passengers risk their lives to take back the plane. That morning changed everything around the world, and this was the big effect when it comes to the production of the 2001 Macy's Parade, as Macy's was planning to cancel that year, the first time they would have canceled it since the World War II years of 1942, 1943, and 1944, and the first discussion of a year of canceling a parade since 1963 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Now, on my research, I couldn't be able to find much on the discussions about this parade's history prior to the final decision. According to Robin Hall in the parade's 85th anniversary special in 2011, they talked with Mayor Rudolph Giuliani in his offices, and he said, "It's best we proceed." And that greenlit told us that the 75th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is going to happen. And on Thanksgiving Day, November 22nd, 2 months after 9/11, the parade marched on. And at the beginning of the broadcast, Mayor Giuliani greeted the audience on television at Herald Square.
Katie, the strength you talk about comes from the fantastic firefighters, policemen, rescue workers, emergency workers. They're restoring this city literally and spiritually. So to all of those brave people and to all our courageous men and women in uniform, this one's for you.
And minutes later, the 4 words kicked in.
Let's have a parade! Here we go!
This 75th parade would be the one to remember the most. We are still never going to forget that day. And there was a moment of normalcy of us taking a deep breath and having a couple of smiles. Al Rooker would said it best in the 90th anniversary special in 2016, that this parade was not just for New Yorkers, not just for Americans, but the whole world. With the parade going on, it told us that we will not be bowed, we will not give in, and we're going to live our lives and celebrate our lives. You're not going to stop that. As the Diamond Jubilee marches on, we got a total of 23 songs for this Diamond Jubilee year and a parade to remember. This is my ranking on the songs of the 2001 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Number 23, Percy the Poor Little Penguin by John Cicada. Percy the Poor Little Penguin was a song that started out for the holiday revenue in 1992. and then formed as a marionette show from 1996 to 2002. And Percy would be in the parade for 3 years, and the title song of the show was performed by recording star John Cicada, who performed Into Cuatro Paletas back in 1995. As he, along with everyone's favorite TV mom, Florence Henderson, who was the narrator, and the rest of the characters from the show, to talk about this penguin who is allergic to snow. Interesting concept for a kids show. In terms of the song itself, no. I don't know what was the show order, but I'm guessing it was either the curtain call or the opening. Not to mention how loud the horn sections are that you can't really hear much of John singing. Also, can I say the lyrics? Choo 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 choo. Really? Well, the lyrics were done by William Skimmerhorn, who we just looked at one of his songs, Just Beyond the Dream, which end up in the bottom of my ranking on the 1999 parade. And another song from his is at the bottom. This doesn't mean I hate him, it's just that I didn't like this song. You can listen to the full version of the song by Cicada in Skimmerhorn's SoundCloud page that comes with the soundtrack of the show itself. There are 2 more songs from that show that we'll be seeing in the next episodes, so we'll see how they top over this poor little penguin song. Number 22, Livin' in America by Lillian Garcia. Yes, for those who are WWE fans, which by the way it sucks, the ring announcer Lillian Garcia got to perform in the parade on the World Wrestling Federation float, later renamed Entertainment, with her rendition of James Brown's Livin' in America, and seems awesome when you watch her parade performance. Unfortunately, this is a parade exclusive, since you don't get this in the WWF soundtrack, and she only had 3 verses of the song in a span of 55 seconds. Heck, the announcer of the parade, Joe Goddard, was already announcing who was coming up as the 3rd set of lyrics were being used. I wonder if that interruption could cause some of those athletic wrestlers to go and wrestle the NBC crew? And maybe why she didn't perform the following year? I'm saying this as a non-wrestling fan that I did enjoy this rendition, that I want to see a full version of this here doing this, but we will never know. Number 21, I Love the Holidays by the cast of Barney and Friends. For Barney, Baby Bop, and BJ's last visit to Santa's workshop, they perform a song from the album Happy Holidays, Love Barney, which is the first song of the album, I Love the Holidays, as Barney gives us a solo performance. And for the parade, you got to put Baby Bop and BJ with him, of course. However, there is something different. This is the first parade we got to hear Dean Went's performance as Barney. All I'll say is Bob West is better when it comes to the song, not to mention that this is when Hit Entertainment got the rights to Barney, and this was not West's fault since he retired prior Hit getting the rights to Barney. Not really a bad song or cringy performance, this one was just forgettable. Number 20, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys by Tony Bennett. This marked the final year for the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer float, and this was to promote the new direct-to-video movie Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys, which is not a sequel to the 1998 movie. It is a semi-sequel to the original 1964 holiday special by Rankin Bass, and done through computer animation. And for the film's soundtrack and opening credits, the legendary Tony Bennett, who celebrated his 75th birthday that year, performs the ever-famous song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as he concludes the roster of celebrities for the 75th parade. Now, if you have listened to the rendition of the special or in the soundtrack, it's pretty good. And if we go by the audio, this would be my number 3 of the 4 renditions. But do I want to put it in last because of the parade performance? This was because, unlike many other celebrities, Tony Bennett actually sang his rendition live, which you can tell. Now, it is hard to criticize a legend who was 75 at the time doing his best to perform here. As you can tell, there were a few mistakes when he did on the lyrics, but he showed more charisma than lip-syncing to it. Also, you cannot get the soundtrack of the video movie digitally in any music platforms. So, the final ranking of these 4 renditions of the famous reindeer with the big red shiny nose, from least to best goes Andrea McArdle and Alexis Kaloff, Tony Bennett, Florence Henderson, and the Pointer Sisters. Number 19, Dames, 42nd Street, and Lullaby of Broadway by the cast of Broadway's 42nd Street. A musical about Broadway, what do you expect? The revival of the 1980 musical 42nd Street comes back to Broadway, and for the parade they bring us 3 numbers, Dames, 42nd Street, and Lullaby of Broadway. And let me just tell you how long it is when you put these 3 songs together. You get Dames, which is like 2 minutes, 42nd Street, which is almost 10 minutes, and Lullaby of Broadway, almost 6 minutes. Since most of it, including the parade performance, which is better than the soundtrack, is all on the tap dancing. Speaking of the soundtrack, you can't get the album of this revival digitally. Well, I don't care for my opinion. If 42nd Street gets a second revival, and if they do get to perform at the parade, please don't do a highlight medley like this one. Number 18, Take Her to the Mardi Gras by the cast of Broadway's Thou Shalt Not. This thing from Harry Connick Jr. becomes notable as one of the worst musicals ever made, and for Broadway, especially how the history of its run was not that pleasant. So what does this failed musical give us? And they bring us Take Her to the Mardi Gras, which we got to see Craig Berkio along with Kate Leverin, if I'm correct on that, who were both from last year's parade of the revival of The Music Man, together again with other actors, and brings us this number, which I kind of see why this musical might have sucked. I will give it this. It does have a catchy tune and the vocals are good, but the lyrics is out of place for the tone, not to mention no way to get the soundtrack, of course. But I will take this over the 42nd Street numbers any day. Number 17, Thank You by Boyz II Men. Yeah, I'm sorry on this one. I know there are many fans of this group, but I never got into Boyz II Men. 2001 marked the group's 10th anniversary, which they did perform 10 years ago in 1991 when they performed Motown Philly from their first album. So the song that was chosen was a song to say thank you to their fans for 10 years. Thank You from their 1994 album, 2. Now, I was only 1 when the 2001 parade occurred, so I can't say you're welcome unless they use a style like thank you to say you're welcome to their fans if the group comes to an end. Not now, but in years down the road. Number 16, Dancing Queen by the cast of Broadway's Mamma Mia. Ugh, everyone knows ABBA, and everyone knows this musical since it was adapted into a movie and even got a sequel. So why not use one of the most popular songs, Dancing Queen, to be their number? And it is good, only in the soundtrack, which is the original West End version recorded back in 1999, since it came to Broadway 2 years later, and we never got a soundtrack with the Broadway cast recording, and we got this parade performance only. Gosh! Like Saturday Night Fever, the parade version from the Broadway cast seems odd to me. I don't know if it is the tone of the vocals of these ladies here, and I don't really know if this was just like specifically for the parade only. However, the song is still a classic. Number 15, I Believe I Can Fly by Miss Universe 2001 Denise Marie Canulnos August, if I'm correct on the third name. Yes, the original artist of the song from Space Jam is now in prison, but we're not talking about him. We're talking about this cover in the parade by Miss Universe 2001 Denise Marie Canulnos August, joined by the Highbridge Voice Choir. As this being a parade exclusive, I gotta say she can sing here, even if it is 1 minute and 7 or 8 seconds. Although there were so many times they sang I or I believe, so many times I can hear, which I know there is a lot in the song itself, and you want to count how many times they say it for this performance. And since this is a parade exclusive, you know it is difficult to get in the top 10 unless some of the actual songs are weak. Number 14, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow by Kenny G. One of, if not the greatest saxophonist of all time, Kenny G makes his second Macy's parade as he appeared back in 1994 when he performed his rendition of Winter Wonderland from his first holiday album, Miracles, the holiday album. Now he performs his rendition of Let It Snow from his second holiday album from 1999, Faith, a holiday album. Really? Couldn't he have just called his albums Miracles and Faith respectively? In terms of the full length, It's not perfect because those breaks from the main lyrics, or notes as we should call for this artist, doesn't have that connection of the style of Let It Snow. It worked for Winter Wonderland, but not for this. Also, the parade performance, not a standout comparing to the others. It's ironic that the legend has only been in for his second time, and I prefer his 1994 performance. Here in 2001, I didn't feel like to wish for snow with this rendition comparing to Chicago's. Number 13, You Remind Me by Usher. Like Christina Aguilera, we all know who Usher is, and another artist that would be a coach on The Voice. Back in 2001, Usher released his third album, 8701, or 8701, and the first song, which had a single release a month before the album's released, You Remind Me, which the song won a Grammy for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance, and it's about a girl he meets and thinks he has seen a girl like her before, which is his ex, and why he can't date her. Not really a fan of this song. I mean, it's just your typical breakup/rejected song. I will give it this, the parade performance was better, although for some reason he throwed his coat out of the float. Another thing that you notice, he is wearing an arm cast. I tried to find out why through my research, but I can't seem to find why he injured his arm. Number 12, Simply Irresistible by the cast of Broadway's Contact. Technically, I am cheating on this one, since it's more of a dance performance and not a musical number with lyrics. But since this is a Broadway musical and it was eligible for the Tonys and even won Best Musical, it does count. This dance musical has 3 parts: Swinging, Did You Move, and the third part, Contact. And the 6th song from that chapter, which is also used on many televised performances of this musical, Robert Palmer's 1988 hit, Simply Irresistible, where a depressed man ended up in a bar, encounters a woman in a yellow dress, and tries to win her over, even if he can't dance. The song itself is great, but our main focus is the choreography here, so first things first, we don't get the entire song here. In terms of the dancing, you're kind of not focusing on all of them, as you're only paying attention to the yellow dress woman, the depressed man, and the bartender helping him out. And through my perspective, I keep dancing on my own, and I feel like I want to do the choreography of Palmer's music video, and not on this musical. One more thing to mention, which I forgot about with the Anastasia soundtrack when I talked about the song back in 1997, like that film soundtrack, for the soundtrack to the musical of Contact on iTunes, you have to purchase the entire soundtrack to get Simply Irresistible. If you're not a person that didn't give a kick in the number here, just purchase the song on its own through Palmer's albums like I did. But it still holds the title of the best Broadway performance of 2001. Number 11, A Little Bit by the cast of Sesame Street. Back in 1996, the cast of Sesame Street had performed this song in the theme of their school float. Now it's just the regular version, and we got to hear solo lines for the human cast and some of the Muppets, even bringing Natasha and her family to the parade for the first and only time. And it is interesting that we only have 6 humans on the float. I think the shortest in the parade's history for Sesame Street. It is better than the 96 performance, although I would have done the final part from that year to be added for this year, instead of ending it fast, by using the main verse after Natasha's parents' part. Number 10, Dont You Wont by Billy Gilman. 2 days after his 12th birthday, a young upcoming country singer named Billy Gilman would release his single, One Voice. That's when his career was about to begin. After 2006, he would go under the radar in the mainstream field, until 10 years later in 2016, now at 28, and officially came out as gay. Gilman made his return by being a contestant on season 11 of The Voice, and ended up being the runner-up of that season, and his recognition had officially come back by going from country to pop. Going back into this year, when he was 13, he released his second album, Dare to Dream, not to be confused with the Jody Messina song from last year. And the 6th song was used with Dont You Wont, And with numbers 10 through 5, we officially begin celebrating the list for 75 years of the Macy's Parade. What a song this is and how catchy it is for a party, although I would say the parade performance was a minor flaw, is that you can tell in the background music could have done better job when changing the lyrics when they were doing the final part. His career has changed, but Billy Gilman did a good discography during his young age, and we want to see how his career would do in the future if he could do another album and a wish for a second parade. Number 9, Carole Ferguson by Charlotte Church. 2 years ago, we saw this soprano from Wales performing Just Wave Hello in time for the new millennium. Now, at age 15, she performs the second song from her fourth album, Enchantment, which is her rendition of the Irish folk song Carole Ferguson, and a perfect fit to have her on the Maytag compliance float. Her rendition is so beautiful. Even if her voice is not in the similar tone as Just Wave Hello, as we know for a fact she has passed her puberty time, her vocals are still amazing. For the parade performance, instead of doing the beginning and the ending section, which would make sense, they do the middle part of the song. I don't know if she wanted to do that or NBC did, but even if the entire song is 4.5 minutes, it's such a beautiful and emotional song and makes me want to go see the town of Carrick Fergus in Northern Ireland. Number 8, We Fit Together by O-Town. As a bonus track on their debut album and used for the soundtrack for the movie Dr. Dolittle 2 starring Eddie Murphy, supergroup O-Town brought us We Fit Together. This song, along with the soundtrack, got some mixed to bad reviews. This song even failed to get on the Billboard Top 100. And today, the lyrics might be controversial on how sexually this song is. If you take it out of the context, it is a catchy song. The parade performance started out good, and you can tell they jumped to the end, which I think they should have done on the first verse and of the I Wanna Go All Night part of the end. And being a minute and 8 seconds for their time, by all means. So, like Who Let the Dogs Out, We Fit Together is a song that I like that critics didn't. It doesn't mean that I want to have sex, it's just a song I enjoy listening to. Number 7, Juliet by Element. Like LFO's West Side Story, this boy band brought us another Romeo and Juliet song called Juliet. That was their single hit, and later, the following year, it would be in their only album, All Sides, as their second song. Ironically, O-Town and Element originally started in the ABC reality competition show Making the Band. For the song itself, you can take the style of West Side Story, but you actually make it more upbeat in the boy band style. Whoa, it makes me want to dance here. The parade performance is only a minute, and remember how I wanted what they should have done with the O-Town performance? Well, I think Element's performance did that earlier in the broadcast by only doing the first section of the song, and I think they should have done the end part for the main verse of the song. This was also the year where Macy's and Green Dog upgraded this character's appearance from a standard balloon to an actual float, and having Element was a good fit here, and my favorite one out of the 4 artists that would be used on this float specifically. Number 6, NYC Girls by Joey McIntyre. After New Kids on the Block split up in 1994, which they did perform back in 1989, one of the members, Joey McIntyre, went on a solo career for his own albums and acting on musicals. And this year he released his second solo album called Meet Joe Mac, with the sports song being NYC Girls, which is a better appropriate song than We Fit Together, and I really did enjoy this one. I also did enjoy the parade performance here of doing the first part right, and when to end it off for the broadcast. The only major downgrade why it can't get in the top 10 is because you cannot get this song or even the entire Meet Joe Mac album digitally. Not on iTunes/Apple Music, not Spotify, not SoundCloud, you name it, rules in the description below. And it sucks because I want this in my collection of songs. But I highly recommend this song, especially if you're a fan of New Kids on the Block. Number 5, We the People by Billy Ray Cyrus. We not also conclude the celebration of 75 years on this list, but we also began on being a parade for our country and for the rest of the world. And starting up to honor America on the United States Mint float, a country singer and star of the TV series Dog that was the most popular name of the family until his two daughters, named Miley and Noah, got more attention for younger generations. His name is Billy Ray Cyrus, who performs the fourth song from his sixth album that was released last year, Southern Rain, We the People. And I love this song. Although it's not a song for today's territory of America, but it was back then. Especially it shows us that we're not giving up. More on that later. And I love this song. Although it's not a song for today's territory of America, but it was back then. Especially it shows us that we're not giving up. More on that later. No better country singer could have done this better than Billy Ray Cyrus. His vocals killed this role, even having some other country artists doing some of the backing vocals or doing a cameo performance. For the parade, the ending was the only minor issue, but the rest was great. Even there were 2 firefighters and 2 mid-police joining with him, and many firefighter jackets around the float. A song choice during the right time to honor the US Constitution the right way back then. Number 4, America the Beautiful by Betty Buckley. As the 75th parade arrived at Herald Square, the U.S. Virgin Marine Academy, holding a sea of U.S. flags, brings in the Statue of Liberty float. And to start out the parade and the roster of celebrities, the one and only Betty Buckley, who performed on Broadway musicals back in 1983 and 1985 parades, does a special rendition of America the Beautiful. For 2 minutes, this parade performance begins to honor this parade and our country with this magnificent performance, and if you can see in the background, the audience in front of the department store are standing for this moment, and with all those flags on the side. This is no offense, but there is one major issue. Not the song or the performance, it's just that you can tell that Buckley was lip-syncing once she took off the mic off her mouth, when you still hear the C at the end. Not blaming her, but it is one reason, unfortunately, that it couldn't get into the top 3. And crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea, Betty Buckley and the U.S. Virgin Marine Academy brought us not just the Macy's Parade, but America's Parade with this performance to start it off. Number 3, Celebrate America by America Sings. Wait, America Sings got high on this list? Not to mention it's in the top 3? But they performed this back in 1994, didn't they? Well, yes, they did. But in honor of being America's Parade, John Jacobson and his group brought the song back. And we finally got what they actually sound like here. An actual youth chorus with their real vocals here. And not copycats from the Disney park parades. And not also this was the first song from the broadcast, but it was way better than the 1994 performance, and it is my favorite performance by America Sings. This is why the 2001 performance by them was the song I used for the montage for the series finale of Macy's Parade Balloons. For its impact for the parade after the ribbon was cut, we know this anniversary party was about to begin around a float of the 75th Parade snow globe as they kick off what is to be their best performance by them, but what America Sings really is. Good for you, John Jacobson. Good for you. Number 2, God Bless Us Everyone by the cast of Madison Square Garden's A Christmas Carol featuring Tim Curry. From 1994 to 2003 at Madison Square Garden, there was a stage musical production of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. The musical did make its first appearance back in 1995, performing highlights of the songs Christmas Together, Nothing to Do with Me, and Abundance and Charity, which featured Terrence Mann as Scrooge and Ben Vereen as the Ghost of Christmas Present. And for the 1997 parade, Hal Linden made an appearance, who was one of the Scrooges of that year. For those 10 years of that productions, there's always a different Scrooge for each year, with the exception of 1997. And for 2001, it was the one and only Tim Curry. And he and the cast performs the final number of the show, God Bless Us Everyone. And what a phenomenal performance this was. We start with Curry, then him and Tiny Tim, then the kids choir, and then the entire cast at the end. Although it is more British, this song fits for America here for peace, love, and a great holiday season. Not just on this parade, but for this Christmas season. Although we're still devastating on what happened 2 months ago, there is still light for the Christmas season. You can get the soundtrack of this musical, but it's only the first year when the musical started. They never did other versions of the show, not even for the 95 year, not for Curry's, or the other 2 years that we'll be talking about in future episodes. But it is the entire number for this performance. And Tim Curry had a great time here. It is unfortunate that Curry cannot perform as he used to due to his major stroke back in 2012. However, he did manage to be in the Macy's parade, and him and the cast of A Christmas Carol says it best, God bless us, everyone. Coming into number 1 here on this list, there was no contest. As I've mentioned in the beginning of this episode, the attacks on September 11th shocked the entire world on what just happened. And this led to the discussion of canceling the parade. The mayor's offices made it final, the parade was going to go on. Prior to the parade, from October 27th to November 4th, was the 2001 MLB World Series between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the New York Yankees. During the third game, which was at Yankee Stadium, a New York City police officer behind home plate sings God Bless America, and that performance got him widespread attention. He would also perform it again at the opening ceremony at the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. His name was Daniel Rodriguez. This NYPD officer would touch so many hearts to many Americans, and he would participate in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which we go into my number 1, the StarSpangled Banner by New York City police officer Daniel Rodriguez. This performance of our national anthem brought the moment of what the 2001 parade really means. It all begins with the NYPD marching band performs the theme from New York, followed by a hall of heroes by many from New York City's police department, fire department, EMS, and Port Authority officers of New York and New Jersey, carries 2 star-spangled banners, a symbolic salute to the World Trade Center. And then comes the New York Daily News Big Apple float, carrying many of the heroes of New York City, including Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, with the heads of each of the departments, including the CAU. Joining with them is New York Yankees manager Joe Torre and Daniel Rodriguez to perform our national anthem live. Excluding all of my rules here, this performance is a deserved number 1 spot. This performance, I think, brings us not only the moment of the 2001 parade, but also one of, if not, the greatest moment in the Macy's Parade's history. Mr. Rodriguez takes that right tone of his magnificent voice to everyone at Herald Square and on live television. From a big silence to a massive applause from the entire crowd, and when he finished, the highlight for me and many others on how emotional he got when he finished. You can tell he managed to bring us the moment of his rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner that told us that we will never forget on what happened on that day and how many lives were lost from the evil that occurred. His performance, along with the parade continuing on, tells us that we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. And now, I would like to end off the quote of the last lines from President George W. Bush's address from the night on September 11th. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you, good night, and God bless America.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we beheld at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land